Yeah, clap for me, Gary. All right.
Hi, this is Jody Brown, and I'm here with my husband, Tim Brown, from Michigan.
Hello, everyone.
And we have an opportunity to interview Gary Byrne. And Gary is the author of Crisis of Character, and he has also came out with a new book, and Gary's going to tell us about it right now. Gary?
My new book is Secrets of the Secret Service. It's a history of the Secret Service. From my perspective, the former uniform division officer of the Secret Service. And it tells you the problems that the Secret Service had in its inception through the years, and it also gives you solutions to the problems that the Secret Service is having today. And thank you for asking.
Gary, you said that you did some research. How long did it take to research this book?
So we actually researched Secrets of the Secret Service and wrote it at the same time, which I'm not recommending you ever do because it's a little cumbersome. But anyway, we did do it, and it took us about 6 months to do the whole thing. And it was a lot of long days and nights, and my co-writer Grant Schmidt worked very hard on it, and without Grant, it would never have gotten done.
So the Secret Service has been around for longer than 100 years.
Yeah, the Secret Service has been around. It was actually written into law by Abraham Lincoln, and the original job was to fight counterfeiting during the Civil War. The South was crushing us with counterfeiting, and that's what they were hired to do. He actually started with a private company first called Pinkerton, and then invented the Secret Service.
So what do you think is one of the biggest issues the Secret Service has today?
Right now, it's their problem is their executive level, their management is they have a new director now, but it's the first time they've had a new director that wasn't a Secret Service agent in recent history over 70 years, and it's good that they have this new director that's not a Secret Service agent, so he can try to fix some of the problems, because the people that are in there are just below him, that executive level below the director, are just interested in keeping it the way it was and just keep expanding the Secret Service's footprint and their management levels without really getting the job done. And they've got all kinds of crises going on with manpower. I just talked to some uniform division officers today that I used to work with, and said that they're actually telling them they can't retire. There's 1,300 uniform division officers in the Washington area. In the next 3 to 5 years, 1,100 of those 1,300 can retire. They're telling these guys, they're promising them everything and delivering nothing, and basically threatening them, not to retire, and coercing them not to retire. So because they can't replace them, and some believe, like myself, that I'm not sure that they want to replace them. I'm not sure if they actually know what they're doing. So again, the book's Secrets of the Secret Service, and it'll take you through the whole history, and I hope you enjoy it.
Very good. Gary, there's also, I want to ask you some questions that are going on in our country today. Most recently, the shooting in Florida.
Sure.
What would be an idea of how to combat that insanity and take care of our kids?
Right. So first thing we have to do regarding the shooting in Florida is realize we have a mental health issue. It's an issue with mental health, not firearms. We get wrapped around the tool.
Right.
The killer used a gun. Okay, if he'd used a truck, would that be acceptable? It wouldn't be. So let's work on the mental health issue. And we have to secure our schools. We have to at least secure our schools as well as we do a jewelry store or the banks where we keep our money. You go to Capitol Hill where the Congress is, and they have armed security all around them. Now, I'm not talking about turning schools into armed camps. What you need is a good outer perimeter security, a middle perimeter, and then you need a small cadre of either law enforcement, retired military that are trained with handguns. You need handgun fighters, not just school resource officers. We don't care about truancy. We want trained men and women that at the sound of gunfire will move towards it tactically with their weapon out, with their handgun out, and engage and stop and kill the murderer who started the gunfight. And that's what we need today.
Yeah, that's unlike the gentleman that they had at that shooting in Florida, where they had an armed officer there, but he opted not to go into the building, where he could have ended the whole thing by going in there. So they need people in there that are actually willing to take on the task at hand.
Right. So, you're looking for a certain type of people that does not have a problem moving towards danger. And when people when they discuss school shootings, and again, part of the solution is the local principals and school board getting together with the local police departments and having a conversation with retired police, retired military, put together a plan. We're not talking about rocket science here.
Right.
It's put together a security plan and then execute it. And it is almost as easy as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
It's one of those simple things that we can do. The problem is you have this mentality, I'll call it a liberal mentality, where people say, I don't want guns in my school. Well, let me ask you, the first question I ask somebody like that is, when you're at home and you hear the back door being kicked into, what's the first thing you do? You pick up the phone, you dial 911, and you want somebody with a gun. So
immediately.
That's right. You give your kids the same fighting chance at a school.
Absolutely.
So it's the way I live my life. My kids are trained with firearms, and they were on the range starting at age 5 or 6. So maybe it's not for everybody, but don't stop other people from expressing their Second Amendment rights. And if there's a problem in the left, their only answer is confiscation and taking apart the Constitution, you know that they're on the wrong track.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, you'll just end up with a country of victims.
Exactly.
And
which we're headed to already. We were
Right.
always crying victims. So
Right.
we also, today we want to talk about a politician from your state.
So in our state, we have Senator Patrick Colbeck, who is term limited out now, which is good for all of us because he's decided to run for governor of our state. He's a principled, solutions-driven man who was a rocket scientist once, which I think helps out a lot when you're dealing with large numbers and a lot of different moving parts. And he's also a Christian, and he's a grassroots candidate. And with those thoughts in mind, we just wanted to hear how someone like you, Gary, would see that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, what we've discussed about Pat, I like. He's pro-life. He's a Christian. He's an engineer, a scientist who left NASA to help his city, his town, and now he wants to help his state. And I certainly, if I lived in Michigan, he would be somebody I would look at. And I encourage anybody that follows me to if you live in that area and he can be one of your candidates, to look at him and find out what the truth is, and always find out the information on your own. Don't rely on what you hear from the media or from the opposition, because it's never the truth. We see that with our current president, and who's turning out to be a really good man. We know he's a good man. He's a great president. So I highly recommend that you consider Pat Colbeck. I'm pointing at the button on the shirt, and certainly take a look at him. And if you like him, you should certainly support him. Support him with finances and support him with votes.
Very
Gary,
good.
thank you very
Well,
much.
we're here
My
at
pleasure.
CPAC, and we were very excited to be able to interview Gary, and I would like to thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And my husband, Tim.
We all thank you.
And
Thank
it was
you very
great
much.
seeing you again.
All right, thanks.
Bye.